I'll get a good camera one of these days. But today is not that day. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the greatest YouTube channel in the world, the AIPT Wrestling YouTube channel. Super worst Darius Melton, the guy that writes all the AIPT AEW reviews, and I was not one episode of the PW podcast, but it's whatever, none of that matters. What matters is, I in the Dark Order. This past Wednesday, I went to AEW Grand Slam, Dynamite, and Rampage, and you can see my Dynamite review on the website. But today we're going to do a video review for the first time ever, talk about Rampage. Once again, I haven't seen the Rampage TNT cut, so let's talk about what went down live. This really doesn't get widescreen, huh? Now, while your episode of Rampage might start with CM Punk entering or Powerhouse Hobbs entering, my episode of Rampage I saw live started with a certain rap battle. We saw on Twitter the other day, Max Caster was like, Tony Khan, I want a rap battle against you in New York City, and Khan didn't respond. Now, this is a weird one, but between Dynamite and Rampage, Justin Roberts gets on the mic and says something like, we want to thank our special guest, Jada Kiss. And in the crowd, we're just like, do you say Jada Kiss? What? Acclaim's music hits. They do some bars. Something about Bill de Blasio comes up. I don't know anything about sports. I'm not from New York. None of it really hit me, but I still went, oh, because I'm a mark like that. Anthony calls out Tony Khan, and to our surprise, TK comes out. He's on the big screen. You see him walk out there, and he says he doesn't write his own raps. And tonight was going to be that night. But he did have someone that knows how to rap. And I was like, oh, Jada Kiss. That's what he teased earlier with Justin Roberts. No, he yells out, Lil Uzi Vert. And then Lil Uzi Vert comes out and does nothing. He just kind of stands there and pretends like he wrote this next bar for Khan. But it's not really the greatest bar because the first words are, my name is Tony Khan and I'm here to say. And I'm like, oh, well, he's going to do something like in a major way. And then Tony comes out with his second bar, which is, and I could suspend both of you guys for another 30 days. And I'm kind of going crazy in the crowd. All the hookamaniacs in the crowd go wild. And Hook's not even out here yet. But we got those hooks, those bars. I'm not a big rap Tony has a second verse, and I didn't quite catch it because we're still going wild over the suspension line. Lil Uzi Vert standing there with arms crossed and smiling. He's like, yeah, I wrote that mess. Tony Khan clearly won the rap battle because he threatened their jobs, and they were like, oh, no, I don't want to be any part of that. So, just like Bo Ryder destroying Flo Rida on the episode of Raw, we have our clear winner. It's not who I thought it was going to be, but Tony Khan ran away with this one, live and clean. And then we're on to you guys' opener. The opening match of the card was Punk versus Hobbs. First CM Punk match on TV in 7 years. And just like the Derby match, it did a really good job putting over the guy that he was against. Punk, when he was coming back, was like, oh, I want to fight Hangman, I want to fight Jungle Boy, I want to fight Darby, I want to fight Hobbs. And Hobbs got his shot, second guy up, which is really cool. It was the first heel versus face rivalry for Punk, since Darby was more of a good guy thing. Just like with Darby, this match was going to put Hobbs over, regardless of whether or not Hobbs was going to win. And chances are Hobbs wasn't going to win. You might think so from the beginning of the match, though, because Hobbs was just bodying this dude. Punk would pick up some momentum. Hobbs would just run through him like it was nothing. Splashes, crossbodies, it was all over the place. But early on, Punk's genius, his like veteran instincts kicked in. He went that GTS pretty early. Punk went for the GTS. Hobbs blocked it, hit a wicked spine buster. And I thought maybe this was the end of the match. 1-2 just wasn't. Match goes on a little bit more. Punk starts getting a little bit more offense in, but he is a little hurt by that spine buster. Punk gets Hobbs on the top rope, and he teases the Pepsi plunge. There was this one annoying fan who we'll get to in a little bit who kept chanting, Pepsi plunge! Go with the Pepsi plunge! Punk teases the Pepsi plunge. Nothing from that guy. I was going nuts, though. I thought, is he about to pedigree this dude from the top rope? Thinks twice about it. Goes for that Frankensteiner. Powerhouse Hobbs catches him. It's like, oh, this big man, he's going to do all kinds of crazy mess to him. Lifts Punk up. Punk still gets the Frankensteiner off. Spikes Hobbs on his face does not get the win with it. With Hobbs recovering from that spike to his head, Punk looks over at the turnbuckle and goes, "You know what? Let's go up." 2 fingers in the air, Macho Man elbow drop. 1, 2, still not enough. Of course, when Hobbs is in trouble, you gotta send the real big man in. Hook is on the apron. Crowd's going nuts. All kinds of Hookamaniacs, 20,000 strong, screaming Hook, Hook, Hook. Hookamania did not run wild on Rampage, however. Punk and Hook stared down, but as Hobbs tried to attack Punk from behind, Punk jumped out of the way, let Hook take that fall. Punk finally takes advantage of this confused Hobbs, picks him up for the GTS, hits it, 1, 2, 3, the match is over. I look at the hard cam and it turns out Punk's mouth is bleeding. Don't know when that happened, but Hobbs beat the crap out of Punk, and then Punk made that comeback. Everyone looks really good in this one. No foul in losing to CM Punk, and it's so good to have CM Punk back on TNT. What a win. After Punk vs. Hobbs, we get the Super Click returning to TV, first time since PWG, I believe. And they're facing the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. Before we move on to their opponents, let me just see Adam Cole was the most over person in AEW, kind of by a lot. Britt Baker got her DMD chant, which is super loud in the arena. CM Punk is, of course, CM Punk. Omega and Bryan, they went out there and killed it in the opener, so we were super hyped for them. But for Adam Cole, it was like all night. His theme song is rife with like crowd chanting moments. It has Adam Cole, baby, in the song, and then a billion booms. And Adam Cole hit the boom right with his song for the first time. Young Bucks' music, it was there, and people were happy to see the Young Bucks, but when Adam Cole came out, it was over for everybody. Until Jungle Boy. You gotta have Christian Cage come out first. Christian Cage is gonna come out here, have his TNA theme play. Crowd's ready. He's like, "Oh, cool, Christian Cage is here. We're gonna cheer because it's a legend." And then when Jungle Boy comes out, we all turn into Taz, so all the oh. And then as soon as that song is over, back to Adam Cole chant. Adam Cole is untouchable tonight. Yeah, Adam Cole's in the ring with Jungle Boy. He tags out to Matt, and it's more classic, more of the cowardly heel kind of thing. We had to wait for that Jungle Boy and Adam Cole confrontation. The match, it has so many guys in it that I can't remember how it starts. I know it was fast. I know that Matt and Jungle Boy kind of wrestled around. I know there were a billion super kicks. That's the most important part. Super kick party was in full swing that night. Luchasaurus in particular ran wild. No super kicks from him, obviously, but his comebacks were insane. Chokeslamming one elbow under the other, hitting a bicycle kick and Adam Cole's bicycle kick, knocking each other out. Jungle Boy doing lucha moves all over the place. And then there was one moment where Christian Cage spears one young buck, I can't remember which one, down the ramp, and they both slide down. Everybody got their moves in, and everyone got to show how over they were because the crowd was going insane for everybody. Once again, it was like 6 guys in the ring. It was hard to keep track of who was who, especially when 2 of them are young bucks dressed in similar attires. I do know that at one point, Jungle Boy had somebody. My brain's saying Cole, but it couldn't have been, unless it was. Jungle Boy had somebody in the snare trap. What really matters, though, is that he let go of it to go attack Doc Dangly Gallows at the apron, because he was trying to get involved in the match. Not only did everybody get their moves in, but the end of the match made everybody look incredible as well, because not only Jungle Boy and Christian Cage avoided taking the actual pinfall loss for their team, but Luchasaurus took every move under the sun to finally go down. A Panama Sunrise into a BET trigger. A Panama Sunrise into a BTE trigger into a last shot made Luchasaurus look like he needed to be taken down with like all the moves. It was basically the wrestling equivalent to getting some Hulkbuster armor to take out the Hulk. You know how it is. So we get Punk entrance, crowd is hot, their match is great, crowd is crazy. We get the Adam Cole entrance, and the crowd's going insane. Love that guy, love that match. And then we get Chris Jericho's entrance. Men of the Year come out first, of course, and we're like, oh, yeah, Men of the Year. By the way, Scorpio Sky's entrance music is on its own pretty great. It has like that basketball flavor to it, that NBA Jam, NBA Street kind of vibe. But when you get the Men of the Year entrance, which like mixed together Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page's, it sounds exactly like Dynamite theme to the point where I kept in my mind going boom and light the fuse like during parts of it. But we get to Judas and the crowd is going nuts. I'm not gonna lie, Dan Lambert, you're listening out there, I'm sure. I did look up the lyrics on my phone earlier in the days. I'd be ready for this entrance. And I, of course, didn't want to record it because I wanted to be singing, and you didn't want to hear me singing. You heard it was Jungle Boy thing earlier. This match is one where being in the crowd actively harmed it. Uh, the crowd was almost back together after the opener Punk to Adam Cole and them to Jericho's entrance even. Um, but then, like, it was the men of the year who aren't super over, and Jake Hager, who also isn't super over. Jericho was sitting there, and Kyle was like, yeah, let's go, let's go. But aside from when he was in the ring or getting ready to be hot tag, the cow was kind of dead for it. I don't have any recollection of how the match actually went, and that's a really weird reason for why. I mentioned earlier that there were some fans that were bugging me. I mentioned the Dynamite review that during the MJF match, they were like cheering for MJF really hard. Like how in our section was like, "Oh yeah, man, it's funny," and then for the rest of the night, it was over for us. So I'm not sure if it showed up on screen that often for the actual show. But you know how there's like the Contron above the actual entranceway? That was above the ring itself, kind of like the Mania 27 big cube. But there was a big screen there. You could watch the show, like the Dynamite TNT feed, up on like any one of these four screens around, but the real one you're gonna watch is the big one above the ring. And during this match, it just said Rampage Grand Slam. No footage of the Inner Circle, no footage of Men of the Year. And the anti fan behind me is chanting, turn the screen on, and then won't stop doing that. He's chanting that, chanting Lion Salt. He's chanting, Owen Hart, Owen Hart. And it's that last one that prompts the guy in front of me to go, oh, did you know that they're having an Owen Hart tournament? Now, the family in front of me had been nice all night. It was a fun little interaction between me and them. And this guy, who I swear is the living embodiment of Eddie Kingston's wrestling character, just put into reality. Um, he was telling me about how Owen Hart's tournament is happening, and then he said, uh, I met Owen Hart the day he died. And I was like, oh. And he goes, yeah, I was there when it happened. He described in detail how he watched in horror as Owen Hart died right in front of him. And I'm just sitting there like, that sucks, man. Like, yeah, you can watch it on YouTube. I'm like, I don't really want to. So all this is happening. The yelling guy behind me, someone in my row is yelling at him. They start cursing at each other. The guy in front of me telling me about how Owen Hart died in front of him. So I didn't really get to watch much of the match. I saw some of Hager's comeback, and I also saw enough of Hager to see that unless he was actively getting a hot tag, the crowd wasn't really into him. And he was doing a lot of the wrestling because he's an MMA guy. This is like an MMA feud kind of sort of. When he got the ankle lock in, I was like, oh, this is crazy. And the crowd just farted all around the arena. And then Jericho gets in and they do like the Walls of Jericho ankle lock spot. And finally, the crowd's like, yeah, let's go, let's go. Dan Lambert pulls on Jericho's leg, gets the ref distracted, and then we get a roll up from Scorpio Sky, and suddenly the Men of the Year wins. Jericho and Hager try to get their heat back. They try to like beat down on Scorpio and Ethan Page, and they try to pull Lambert in the ring to beat him down, and then like a billion UFC guys come out. Now I'm gonna be completely real with you guys. I only recognize Junior Dos Santos from afar. They're all on the big screen, and I recognized their faces from before, but like there's normally two ladies, and I'm like, one of them's Paige Van Zant, and then one of them was there, and the other one wasn't. I was like, I'm gonna assume that one is Paige Van Zant. Okay, so confirmed. It was Paige Van Zant. I had to Google some pictures of her to make sure it's the same person I saw one Wednesday. Um, yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. And then Jorge Masvidal also comes out, and I didn't recognize him. The crowd went insane when he came out. So I was like, yeah, yeah, I know that guy. The American Top Team guys pull Jericho and Hager's arm behind their back, and Paige starts like punching him in the gut, and then Jorge does like a running knee to Jericho's face, gets crazy over. It's like a knee plus kind of deal. And yeah, American Top Team looks strong. The MMA guys might eventually fight. I know Dan Lambert made that one comment forever going down the mic, like, "Oh yeah, you think I can't have my UFC guys fight? With I got one call to Dana White, I could change everything." So maybe one day we'll see Masterval actually wrestle Junior Santos, Paige Van Zant, one of those three. All of those three, I don't know. What I do know is this match was supposed to probably be a Lance Archer match, and then the Suzuki incident happened, and we'll address that in the near future. If you couldn't tell from all my videos, I was a little bit behind the ramp, so I couldn't see everything that happened on the show. For example, when Sammy Guevara came out with Fuego and did the whole like move the what do they call it? When Guevara and Fuego did like the poster board thing, the thing they do during commercial breaks normally. I can't tell if it was during commercial break or not because it was very much like full screen for us. But then, regardless of whether it's during commercial or not, Miro came out behind them before he could get anything out and killed both men. Fuego didn't stand a chance. Miro threw him off the stage through a table. Meanwhile, Sammy took a couple kicks to the head and ate a nice little game over while the crowd screamed for blood. We're like, yeah, because it's Miro. I wanted to see Miro wrestle, but I'm cool waiting until next week. Gotta say something for later. So yeah, Miro killed Sammy Guevara. I couldn't see it, therefore I'm not a witness to the murder. And we move on to the next match. Now, during the Inner Circle versus Men of the Year, the lady in front of me is like, "Oh, how many matches are there left?" And I said, "Oh, there's 2 matches left. There's the women's match and then there's main event." And then the next match starts, and I just see the HFO come out with Private Party's music. I'm like, oh god, I forgot about them. Hometown Boys and Santana Ortiz team up with the tag team champions, the Lucha Brothers, take on Private Party and Butcher and the Blade. Santana Ortiz got the biggest reaction of the night, I think by a lot. And it's gonna be weird when it happens on TNT and you don't really see it because the start of this match has been like brawling in the ring, forehead to forehead. I feel like that's one of those entrances they only do when it's like come back from commercial break. Hopefully I'm wrong because the NRTs need to get that loving that they really deserve from this Queen's audience. Head to forehead brawl, and then it's like forearms and kicks and dives everywhere. And this match kind of hits that same like good feeling that DIY Revival AOP match was in NXT forever ago, where two rival teams put the differences aside and start teaming together, doing each other's moves together. Phoenix teamed up with Santana to hit the Uno Dos Tres super kick to, I believe, the Blade. Meanwhile, Ortiz and Pentagon do that like weird, like wheelbarrow flipping body splash. While a lot of matches were kind of fun to watch on the big screen because you could see the TNT feed, this was one of those matches you had to look at the actual ring because watching Phoenix flip around, whether it's on the ropes or off the turnbuckle, was just the best thing in the world. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, the Butcher. Much like Hobbs, he was barreling through folks. He was hitting mad crossbodies. He caught Phoenix out of the air for a power bomb, and while they kind of like poo-pooed his crossbody earlier, the power bomb got everybody on his side, or not really on his side. They wanted to lose still. But halfway through the 8-man tag, Matt Hardy's just getting involved as he is wont to do, and Orange Cassidy comes down trying to save the day. Crowd's going nuts for Orange Cassidy. Jack Evans gets on the apron. He's like, "I'm gonna save the day." Orange punch. He's not gonna save the day. And instead of fighting Matt Hardy, Orange just kind of leaves. So that was a successful run-in. I promise this is the last time, but this is one more match where my view of it got obstructed by like the fans around me. But don't worry, people in front of me left. The guy behind me got cussed out and kind of stopped yelling. But the flow of the match was ruined for me. And I can tell it was ruined for me because when Pentagon and Phoenix went for their like package power driver stomp combo, I thought this is gonna get reversed. We're not that far into the match yet. And then it hit, and then they rolled their guy backwards into a street sweeper from Santana Ortiz, and I was like, oh, I guess that's the end, and it was. If I recall correctly, it wasn't that long of a match, but it was a nice little showcase of Santana Ortiz in their hometown. Kingston got the post-show mic work, but these guys got to do a little bit of fun stuff together with the tag champs, and maybe get a match in the future. Anna Jay and Penelope Ford wrestle in another one-on-one match. Not between the two of them, but in this ongoing rivalry between Ty Conti and Anna Jay and the Bunny and Penelope Ford. It's been going on for a couple weeks now. Dark Order versus HFO is kind of always a thing. It's fade on site with those two groups. Side note, it was kind of weird to see all the Jade Cargill signs at the train stations next to MJF, but then she wasn't on the show, not in Elevation, that was Thunder Rosa, and not on Rampage or Dynamite because those were Baker and Soho and Jay and Ford, but whatever, it's unrelated. So the weird thing about Jay and Ford is that those two and the Bunny were the first wrestlers whose like voices I heard all night. And it's not because the crowd was just quiet. Like we were still like cheering and booing. It might not come across on TV, but we were getting back into it. Like we were giving them our all. But yeah, like a standing side switch would be something I could hear like during, and it's like, oh man, they're like really going at it down there. Allie be screaming at ringside, all the fun stuff. But of course, Allie wasn't there at the start of it. The start of it just saw Jay and Ford like brawl onto the ramp. I saw it coming. It's kind of the Rampage formula for these specific women. I think they were playing up how injured Anna Jay is because of her like months on the shelf. Because Ford spent a lot of this match on top, leaning on Anna in the ropes and like kind of injuring her neck and her arm. Whenever Anna Jay would pick up some momentum, something would screw her over. The first time, of course, it was the Bunny. She comes out, stands on the ramp, and lets Anna get confused and cut in a roll up for a 1-2 kick out. And as soon as Allie's out there, we're all thinking, okay, well, where's Ty Conti? And then we thought, well, we'll find out soon. And then Allie keeps getting involved and like, well, where's Ty Conti? And then she just doesn't come out. Anna's getting ready to finally get some moves together and put Ford away with the Queenslayer. And then Allie just gets in the apron and screams so loud, like as loud as the pyro earlier on in the night. The scream not only distracts the ref, but Anna Jay, who lets go of Penelope Ford, which is fortunate for Allie because mid-scream she throws some brass knuckles over to Ford, and then Ford conks Anna Jay on the face with them. She goes down 1, 2, 3. The HFO wins this. Then they start beating down Anna Jay some more, and then finally Ty runs out, and then she gets destroyed like she's a TJP going against a Neville. Maybe you might remember that random Raw reference from like 2016. Anna Jay and Ty Conti are on the ground. Penelope Ford and Allie are like standing on top of them and posing. The HFO come out just to crip walk on top of their dead bodies, and then Orange Cassidy's music hits, and the crowd is nuts again. We weren't super hyped during the match. I think I might have lied earlier. Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander come down the ramp, and the crowd's going insane. We get to hear Where Is My Mind? Because of the earlier Orange punch, Orange and Matt still staring daggers at each other, and Matt's like mouthing, oh, there's more of us than there are of you, and then Orange just shakes his head, and then the Dark Order come out. Dark Order clear the ring, the HFO scatters, Chris Statlander stands with her two fallen Dark Order comrades. Cannot talk in that thing. The Dark Order are united once more, staying together, looking real strong with their best friends. Anna Jay must have been the key to get them back together. Mid-celebration, Uno realizes he probably shouldn't be there, and then he and Stu just kind of storm off, and the crowd gets sad, which is a weird emotion to get at a wrestling show, because you're not, like, angry or, like, overjoyed. You're just, like, kind of sad about friendships ending. However, while that was the televised ending, during the commercial break, the Dark Order and the Best Friends do like that fun little four corners hug, and you got to give the people what they want. Queens went home happy, knowing that the Dark Order and Best Friends are cool, even if Stu and Uno aren't in there right now. So, for all intents and purposes, the main event of Rampage is Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford. Just Roberts does that thing he does where the following match is unsanctioned. Lights go off around the ring, come back on, and everybody dies. In a vacuum, Archer's theme goes pretty hard. We're like headbanging in the crowd. It's like, oh yeah, everybody dies. And then Suzuki's Contron image starts and it's like, oh, you know what? Forget Lance Archer. Kazanina Ray, baby. I've been wanting to go to a New Japan show for years, and I don't know what's going to happen. But the cool thing is, I did get to do what I've always wanted to do, which is yell Kazanina Ray, which I've been doing since G1 shows a couple of years back. That felt really good. And then we go straight from that into Wild Thing, which also felt really good. It's like, oh man, this is a good, like, entrance song. matchup. But then we go from the Suzuki incident to the Moxley incident, because I was ready to get that second groove, but then Suzuki knocks Moxley out and the match kind of kicks off. Both teams split into their AEW rivalries, Moxley with Suzuki, Kingston with Archer. Moxley and Suzuki go to the ramp. They're having a chair sword fight. Archer's over there murdering Eddie Kingston, but then Kingston kind of breaks out of it. After Moxley loses the chair sword fight, Kingston's like, I got you, I got you, I got you. And then he and Suzuki fight into the ring until Suzuki just kicks Kingston through a table, which, like, what? The New York native goes down, and then Suzuki and Archer can do whatever they want with Moxley, starting with taping his arm behind his back, and then just kendo sticking him to death. Now, Suzuki-gun isn't really about just winning. They're kind of just torturing this man. So they could have just pinned him or choked him out at any point. Nah. They beat him with a kendo stick, then they got bored. They beat him with a leather strap, and then also hung him with a leather strap, and then beat him with a leather strap some more. And because this is New York, the crowd's going, Eddie, Eddie. And then he would, like, sit up a little bit. Archer would go over and just punch him in the face. And then they would go back in the ring and start choking Moxley some more. And it's like, Eddie, Eddie, another punch to Eddie, because we're just chanting for his demise. So everything looks really bad for Moxley and Kingston. And then Suzuki's like, you know what? I'm not done hurting Moxley. Let's take two chairs and put them together the bad way, like end to end, drop him onto it. And not just a drop, but they're gonna like black out him off the turnbuckle onto the chairs. And I'm like, well, Moxley's gonna die right in front of me. And then Homicide's music hits? I never thought I'd hear myself and a bunch of other people chanting Homicide, Homicide, but we were going nuts for the TNA and Ring of Honor veteran. As he came down the ramp, cleared the ring with Kingston, they cut Moxley free from the tape, and then it was back to just the brawl all out between the four guys as Homicide kind of backed out of this part. Kingston's chopping and forearming Suzuki, and hits him with Enziguri to kick him out of the ring, and then he tries to chop Archer. Archer's like, oof, I'm Sting, basically. Then Kingston, knowing he can get away with murder in New York, just pokes him in the eye and just keeps chopping him in the corner, and he stops. They toss him in the corner again, and we're going nuts. Archer fights a little bit harder, but then Moxley gets the paradigm shift on him too, then leaves the ring to keep beating down Suzuki, and then seeing that Archer's kind of all alone, Kingston takes a trash can and just bashes him with it, and then puts it over his head, and then kills him with a kendo stick, and then breaks the kendo stick over for his knee, and then keeps hitting with a kendo stick. And that leads into the first and only pinfall attempt of the match, as Kingston wins with one pinfall. New York is going wild. Homicide is clapping on from ringside. Moxley does not care because he and Suzuki are still fighting because this is a Suzuki-gun match, and Suzuki does not stop. Moxley gets back in the ring just to celebrate. Suzuki's like, I'm not done. Moxley kicks him off the apron, and then he finally leaves him alone. And I'm not sure when the show ends, but I'm pretty sure it's before the curse words start. Kingston grabs the mic and it's like, New York, I love you. I'm so effing proud of you guys. My mom's out here somewhere. I love her too. Kingston goes on to name some of his friends who he wishes were here, who passed away along the way. I couldn't hear their names specifically because the crowd's going insane for Kingston still. But it was really heartwarming to see that. He's happy that Homicide could be here. After Kingston and Moxley have already left the ring, New York starts over the intercom, and those two come back out for one last standing ovation, and then the show ends, and we're all sent home. No more elevation matches. We got 3 before the show, then all Dynamite, all of Rampage. No more elevations, so not going to be that long of a show on Monday. And that was Rampage Grand Slam. I think between that and Dynamite, Rampage was probably the better show, but only by a little bit. Dynamite had the higher high. Omega versus Danielson isn't going to be touched by any of the matches you see on Rampage. I think Punk versus Hobbs is really good. I think the 6-man trios match was really good. The main event was like a New Japan brawl. We had our New Japan G1 style match to start off Dynamite, then an undercard Suzuki-gun match to close the show. So it was a really good night for match quality. Despite the higher high of Dynamite, Rampage was consistently pretty good throughout. There was no crowd burnout because the crowd was just pretty okay, except for during the Men of the Year match, I would say. But this video is coming out after Rampage is aired, after Dynamite has aired. Elevation's going to air Monday, but we'll be out before that. So which show do you think was the best of the two that happened on TNT? Rampage, Dynamite, were they both good? Was it good as a whole, or did one half kind of drag the other one down? However you feel, let us know in the comments. Let us know on Twitter, at AIPT Comments, at AIPT Wrestling. And remember, wrestling rules. F the world and party hard.